Alright folks, quick and easy. So we're talking about interjections. They are very quick to find. They show emotions in a sentence, and they're the words that can either show up at the beginning of the sentence, they can also show up in the middle of the sentence. One of the ways that I try to teach students about interjections is think of that annoying friend or that annoying relative that is always around. Always around. You want to be nice and not say anything to them, but they are always around. And they don't really contribute anything to your conversation or, your annoying friend. They don't really kind of contribute to you and your group of friends, but you feel bad because they don't really have anywhere else to go, so you just kind of let them be there. Yeah, that would be your interjection. Your interjection is that annoying friend that just will not go away, but kind of has something to say all the time, but your group kind of continues as normal when that person isn't around. That would be your interjection. So your interjection shows some kind of emotion. Usually it has a comma or an exclamation when it shows up at the beginning of the sentence to kind of show that emotion and kind of separate itself from the sentence. Or if it's in the middle, it is set off by commas, meaning that it has a comma at the beginning and a comma at the end to kind of separate itself. So we're talking about interjections. They interject, or they kind of get themselves known in the sentence. So take a look at some of these examples. Wow, that was an amazing hit. Now, this sentence, that was an amazing hit, really could sit by itself and be just fine. However, you have the annoying relative that has to show up. Wow! It has to kind of input its own idea, or it has to interject or interrupt. And so it kind of starts the sentence. Now, if you don't want to show as much emotion, you can have a comma instead. So, oh, that makes sense. That oh would be your interjection. Because your sentence itself could function, that makes sense. So, if your interjection kind of interjects or interrupts. So, you can have it at the beginning, either with the exclamation or the comma, and it just shows emotion. Now, look at this one. How many of you have pulled this? My project or my library books, it's in my locker. Yeah, I don't know where it went, so I don't know when I'm gonna give it to you. When you have it in the middle, it's interjecting, it's interrupting, it's kind of pushing itself into it. So if you took this out right here from the comma to the other comma, you would just say my project, it's in my locker. Now the interjection likes to interrupt and kind of push itself in. So this way you set it apart, put in the commas, and it can interject or interrupt the sentence. Okay, so you can either have it at the beginning with the exclamation point or the comma if it is less of an emotion, or it can interject and interrupt your conversation and put itself right in the middle. Interjections are not usually at the end. Sometimes, but it's very unusual. Let's take a look at some interjections examples. There are a whole bunch of interjections, but these are just some. Oh and oh my, no one says gee, but it works. Well, yikes. If you're answering a question, yes or no. Do you have your paper? Yes, it's right here. Yes, comma, it's right here. This would be your interjection. Okay, there's a couple others you can kind of look through. Now, see darn with the asterisk? Now, I'm going to be nice, but I want to make sure that you're fully educated. So, usually those words that you're not supposed to say, like curse words, most of the time, those would be your interjections. And this would probably be the time that you're going to laugh. But things like darn and shoot. Oh, shoot, I left my stuff. Anytime that there is a curse word, it is usually, when it's at the beginning to show some sort of emotion, it is also an interjection. So that's why it has a little bit of the star there. So I want to make sure that you know that. Now, you'll never see that in class, but I kind of wanted you to know that it would be around. So, as I said, interjections, our lives can be just fine without them, but they do show up at the beginning, they do show up in the middle. When they're at the beginning, it can either have an exclamation or comma. If it's in the middle, it interrupts and shows up with commas on either side. Okay? It's the annoying relative. We can do just fine without them, but we kind of put up with them when we have them. So, interjections, enjoy the activities. This really should be quick and easy. They totally tell on themselves because they either have a comma or an exclamation.